Hey, Malcolm, I spoke with your mom about an hour and a half ago, and she was talking about the long legacy of activism in your family, going all the way back to your great grandfather. How do you think that's informed your activism and your worldview during these times?
I think it's given me a sort of a foundation. Having my grandfather be a part of the civil rights movement and playing a big role in marching and leading marches and, leading sit-ins. It's just been a part of my upbringing. It's been a part of my history. Learning that for me was as important as learning math and science. That's sort of it was more important for me growing up. And I think a lot of people don't get that sort of element. I was blessed into a family that was sort of a part of the movement from an early stage. So foundationally, in my mind, that comes before education. It comes before basketball. It comes before all these other things in your life, knowing who you are, your identity, and sort of, who you represent and what you stand for.
Malcolm, I'm curious, when do you plan to come back to Indianapolis to resume working out, training, whatever? And what sort of action plan is there, if there is one yet? Kevin talked earlier about, wanting to take action, do things. What kind of things do you want to spearhead and get started?
I plan to come back to Indiana probably a week before, we're supposed to be back. So I expect an announcement. Tentative dates have come out, but I expect a formal announcement in the next few days. And once that comes out, let's say it's the 22nd, I'll be back the week before then, just to get ready before everybody gets back. And then as far as, what was your second question?
Just about
as far as what else?
action plan.
For sure. I've talked sort of extensively about having a march in Indianapolis at some point when me and my teammates get back. And the Pacers sort of leading that, me leading that. That would be awesome, but that's all about timing. We talked about the players releasing a statement. That's really with what's going on right now, a lot of the Black community feels as though, conversations and things like that aren't enough anymore. We've been having conversations for years, and now it's about actions. Now it's about solutions. So I think demonstrating, possibly when we get back to playing games, some way of keeping the fight going, of still bringing awareness to what's going on and not allowing basketball to distract us. That's the goal.
Malcolm, if you could share any details on conversations with Coach McMillan in both of your leadership amongst the team during this time.
Yeah, we've had a few Zoom calls. We had a few Zoom calls early on, for a while we were going every week, every other week. We had a Zoom call the other day. I had to get off early because of another phone call. But no, me and Coach McMillan have actually been in constant communication, just separately, just me and him one-on-one on the phone, talking about ideas, talking about not just basketball, talking about ways that I can continue to make an impact and continue to keep this conversation and sort of solutions, in people's mind. But, I think he's been great to have a coach like that, to have a Black man as a coach that strongly identifies as being Black and is supporting me in everything I'm doing, and also, probably sees himself in me. And when he was my age, I think it's honestly been a blessing to have him as my coach and have him sort of lead me.
I know you've only lived in Indy for less than a year now, but in talking with your teammates and you obviously as well, have they expressed any racism they felt within the Indy community or within the state as a whole?
No, honestly, that the conversation hasn't come up in the locker room. I think that's what's so amazing about the time period we're living in right now, is this moment is allowing everybody to actually take notice to what's going on around them. And for a lot of my white teammates, they say, I didn't actually understand what was going on for Black people. I didn't understand that, the idea of privilege. I didn't understand these things. So I think it's actually bringing people together, and now there will be conversations. Now we will come back together, and there are going to be plenty of conversations. And the more we talk about it, the more actions and solutions come about.
Hi, Malcolm. I didn't know if you could expand on your relationship with your grandfather, John Hunt Adams, and if there was a first conversation with him that really stuck with you.
And honestly, I've had so many conversations with him before he passed. You know, most of our conversations were not about the civil rights. They were not about him marching or really his career. They were really about basketball. You know, he loved basketball. He loved Oscar Robertson. We would have really intense debates at the kitchen table about who was better, LeBron or Oscar Robertson. Michael Jordan wouldn't even be in the conversation. So that's what we talked about. Me and my brothers would fight him on it every time, and he, you know, would never back down about it.
Malcolm, thank you. Not for doing this. I mean, thank you for doing this, but thank you for. I thanked you when you showed up here, and I mean, thank you again for who you are. Two things. One, and no one here is going to make you like you're bragging. I'm asking you this question. It feels like you're made for this moment. Do you feel like your unique background, everything about you that is who you are, you were made for this moment? Do you feel that way?
Oh, I don't think God makes mistakes. So I think God gives you experiences. You know, he gives you family. He gives you a support system. He sort of tailors your life for specific opportunities. And right now is an opportunity for me to shed light on people that don't have a voice. So that's what I'm using it to do. It's an opportunity for me to shed light on issues that have been ignored for so long, and bring solutions to them.
Okay, one more thing. Your future. I don't expect you to know it right now, but people wonder about politics. I'm sure you've thought about it. Do you have an answer for that one yet?
I don't have an answer. It's definitely an option. It's definitely something I've thought about. You know, that's another full-time commitment that is, you know, would be demanding. I want to have a family. I want to really be able to focus on my family once I have that. And, you know, I'm not sure what I want to do after this.
Hey, Malcolm, certainly there's a voice now that you have, others have. Is getting back to basketball, is the timing of that right now, or how do you see this?
You know, honestly, I think there are guys across the NBA that have very, very mixed, and it's honestly very polarized. Some guys are like, I'm not playing. I don't want to play. You know, this is not the right time. They're trying to distract us from what's going on and the real issues. I'm not going to prioritize basketball over, you know, people's health in general. Then there's the other group of guys that's like, you know, being a black man, we have way less opportunities to make this type of money in our lifetime. And the things we can do with this money to impact the world and to impact our families, generational wealth, and to impact the community is far greater than sitting out, not getting paid, and not actually having the means to help people. So honestly, I see a lot of value in both arguments. Right now, I definitely lean towards having the money. You know, with my sort of philanthropic outreach, the stuff I want to do and the stuff I'm doing right now, you have to have finances to do that. You have to have a platform to do that. And whatever you do, whatever I do on the floor, whatever I do with the NBA, I have to have a reputation where people want to work with me, where people think once I commit to something, I'm going to finish that. And, you know, I think we live in a life where you have to do this or this. I think a lot of it is about being able to do this and this. And, you know, right now with basketball, I think we have the ability to make statements, to use our leverage to, you know, bring about whatever change we want while also playing basketball. So that's definitely where I'm leaning. But, you know, I understand guys, both ends of the argument.
I was just wanted to get your perspective of the protest you went to in Atlanta this past weekend, what it was like, what you experienced, what you kind of witnessed, and maybe how it was a little bit different than things you've seen in the past when we've been rallying around the same cause. So just to share your experience from this weekend.
For sure. You know, that wasn't something that was actually planned. I was on a group text with the executive committee when Jalen was, you know, sent a text message to the group saying he was driving back to Atlanta to lead a protest the next day. And immediately I just reached out to him, was like, man, let me know the details, where you're going, what's going to, you know, how it's going to happen. And I met him there, and it was sort of impromptu, and it ended up being very powerful. It's one of those things where you don't know what a protest, you don't know what a march feels like until you're a part of it. It's one of those things that can be scary. It's one of those things right now, you see so many people on TV getting injured and having, you know, all this trouble with police. And you know, it can be problematic for sure if it gets out of hand. But the way that was handled, the way it went, it definitely was something that was empowering. I think the energy and the feeling you get from being with a mixed group of people that are joining for one cause and support of it, there's really nothing like it. So it was definitely one of the more impactful experiences of my life.
Malcolm, a little bit ago when we were talking to Kevin Pritchard, he said that he's mentioned to you many times, this is your time. That can mean a whole lot of different things. What's that mean to you?
Honestly, I think it means to me, it's my time to stand up for what I believe in. I think people that know me well know I'm very much about my people. They know I'm very much about my family. And they know I'm very much about doing the right thing and having an integrity and a character that can influence, everybody around you. So, I think right now we need high character people. We need leaders. We need people that stand for the right things and stand to fight for equality for all races, including Black people. So, I think KP knows me well, and he knows this is something that I really am passionate about, something I stand for, and something I'm willing to take the lead on.
Hey, Malcolm. Obviously, everybody's wired a little bit differently on how outspoken they want to be. Do you feel that pro athletes with the platforms that you have, regardless of race, have a responsibility to speak up at times like this?
I think pro athletes, regardless of their race, have a responsibility to be a part of the solution. I think speaking up is a way that you can. I think speaking up is a way that you can demonstrate, you're part of the solution. But I think there are other ways. I think you can speak out by, writing articles or being in the protests or, there's a whole host of ways you can figure out how to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. I think the biggest problem is being silent. I think when you're silent, not just in terms of talking or not, but silent in terms of not taking any action or being a part of the solution. I think that's when you become a problem and you're hurting rather than helping.
Malcolm, what kinds of, policies and actions do you support, towards the cause, beyond speaking out?
Actions and policies. I mean, I think there has to be policy change. However we have to do that. I've been a proponent, in the past I've said voting. I think more so than federal and state, people look at the big voting. I think locally voting for your prosecutors, voting for where really a lot of the unjust acts happen. I think there are a lot of corrupt people in powerful positions that, are just maintaining and that are protected and that there are no repercussions and there is no accountability. So those are the positions where we have to vote to see that those people don't hold those positions anymore and get ethical, morally, righteous people in those positions.
Hi, Malcolm. I know at the beginning of the year, we kind of talked about just all the different causes that you're involved with, and we specifically talked about Hoops 2.0. I'm curious, from your time in Indianapolis, have there been any causes locally that you've maybe gotten involved with or been excited to have a hand in?
There aren't any in Indianapolis. I'm actually starting my foundation, and it'll be launching later this month or early next month, and we're really going to focus on 3 to 4 schools in Indianapolis. We've already built a close relationship with a charter school in downtown Indianapolis, where it's predominantly has minority children in it. So we're focusing on schools that, that have mainly Blacks and Hispanics, the population of people that are underserved. And we're going to have a mentoring program and also a literacy program at each of those schools. So hopefully that's something that the Pacers will get behind and, the city can get behind, and it can really help those younger generations that don't have the resources or the access to the opportunities that the rest of us have.
Hey, Malcolm, it's great to see and hear from you. Just was curious, piggybacking off what Taylor Tannenbaum talked about, you wrote about it in USA Today, that you were very nervous, as you prepared for that march. Can you share with us how you got through that? Because, there are some of us that have never done anything like that. And I think we'd be curious to know how you get through that.
I think the quicker you can realize that it's not about you, you know, of course I have nerves, but what's the purpose of what I'm nervous about? And does that serve a greater purpose than myself? Is that going to help the community and help this nation or the world? And once you put it in perspective, the nerves sort of go out the window once you get there, once you force yourself to get there, to see all the people out, to see the power behind, you know, what they're marching for. I think the nerves, you know, go out the window. It's really about putting things in perspective and understanding that there's a huge problem in this world. It's just one of them, but it's a huge problem right now, especially in this country. And, you know, what I wanted to do was march and bring more light to it. And it was important that I did that, regardless of my fears, regardless of, you know, what I would be risking.